Marty, we've got to go back to the future. It's been 26 years since Back to the Future 2 came out. In the film, Marty McFly and Doc have to travel forward in time from 1985 to October 21st, 2015. And the future is incredible. There are flying cars, hoverboards, dehydrated pizza. Hey, wait a minute. But it's October 21st, 2015 now. We don't have any of those cool things. So, which predictions about the future did Back to the Future 2 get correct, and which ones didn't it get right? So if you've seen the first Back to the Future film, and if you haven't, what's wrong with you? Then you'll know that Doc converts a DeLorean car into a time machine. By driving the car down the road at 88 miles per hour, they're able to travel anywhere in time. But that's all fine for 1985. But when Doc brings the car back from the future, it's had a significant change. The first prediction about 2015 from Back to the Future 2 is that cars can now fly. Now you've probably realised by now that we don't have flying cars in 2015. But how close are we to them? Well, it depends how good you want your flying car to be. There already exist very small aircraft whose wings you can retract, and these then turn into a small car which you can drive down the road. But the idea of a car flying around with a jet is a bit further away. Actually, we're not that far away from the technology to be able to do it. It's just the cost to run and to manufacture these cars that's the problem. And also having millions of cars flying through the air, that could be a bit of a danger. But what if you're not old enough to drive? Well, don't worry, because instead of flying cars, in the future you can get your hands on a hoverboard. These levitating skateboards are Back to the Future 2's alternate idea for transport in the future. But hoverboards in reality are about as rare as flying cars. But is it possible to build a hoverboard? Now, whether they're serious or not, several companies have already had a go at building hoverboards. The best one so far was probably shown off in a video by the car company Lexus, who built a levitating skateboard. Now it's really good, and what it does is it works by using magnets, which are super cooled, to levitate above the ground. Now the downside of this is that it can only levitate above surfaces made of metal, so if we wanted to get it to work, we'd have to cover all skate parks and footpaths in a layer of metal for it to be able to levitate. However, we do now have a working hoverboard, so maybe we can't be too critical of it. Now, one of the most tedious things we have to do each day is tie our shoelaces. Think of how many seconds we waste each day. Okay, so tying your shoelaces isn't actually that bad. But imagine if there were a pair of shoes which could automatically fasten themselves. Well, this is Back to the Future 2's prediction for 2015. And actually on this one, they're not all that wrong. The sports company Nike is set to start selling self-fastening shoes by the end of 2015. The shoes have really small electronics in the bottom of them, and the pushing of a button are able to fasten themselves. Now, not only are these shoes really cool and really futuristic, they're also very good, especially for people with disabilities who may not otherwise be able to tie their own shoelaces. But self-tying shoes aren't the only fashion prediction for 2015. One prediction is that we'll all be wearing our trousers inside out. Another one is that we'll all be wearing double ties. Now, I'm not really sure about the whole trousers inside out thing, but double ties, I could get used to this. Now, a lot of people really love the Back to the Future films. So much so that they're trying to make sure that some of the predictions it makes about 2015 come to reality. Now, you might remember in the film that Marty McFly sees at the local cinema that they're showing the film Jaws 19. Now, in reality, we only have 3 Jaws films. But Universal Studios have been trying to make our dreams come true. They recently released a trailer for the fictional film Jaws 19. The trailer is absolutely brilliant and it's really hilarious. So if you haven't seen it already, go and watch it. But it's not just companies playing along. One of the predictions about 2015 from Back to the Future 2 is that all food will become dehydrated, such as the famous dehydrated pepperoni pizza. Now, this might sound like fantasy, but NASA actually dehydrates a lot of the food that it gives to astronauts when they go to the International Space Station. This is because dehydrated food takes a lot longer to go off before it becomes spoiled. Now, sadly in real life, we don't have dehydrated food sold in supermarkets. Perhaps that's just because society isn't ready to eat dehydrated pizza. Now, you might think that Back to the Future 2 wasn't very good at predicting what it'd be like in 2015. But they did get some things correct. Notice what the guy in this scene is holding? Yeah, that's right, it's a computer tablet. A lot of you might be watching this video on an iPad or another type of computer tablet. But just remember that Back to the Future 2 predicted that they'd exist 30 years ago. What about in this scene? Marty McFly is wearing a set of virtual reality goggles, just like Google Cardboard or the Oculus Rift. Now, virtual reality is one of the biggest up-and-coming technologies at the moment, but it was predicted by Back to the Future 2 in 1989. So Back to the Future 2 made a lot of predictions of what it'd be like in 2015. Flying cars, dehydrated pizza, self-tying shoelaces are just some of the crazy ideas it came up with. And some of them haven't come to reality yet, but some of them have. It's really interesting to be able to look at a film which predicted what it'd be like 30 years in the future and see what they got correct. But all these things doesn't matter anyway. Back to the Future 2 is an absolutely brilliant film. Make sure you go watch it on October 21st to celebrate Back to the Future Day. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, check out the rest of my channel, some really good science videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys all soon.